Welcome to Rider's Range. This video about the Smith & Wesson 586 is a story video. There's some history behind this particular gun, and there's also a future behind this particular gun. If you don't want to hear the stories, I certainly understand. I'll put a timestamp in the description below where you can jump forward, skip the story, and move right into the information about the gun itself. But for those of you who occasionally appreciate a Rider's Range story, stick around. We'll try to keep it relatively brief. The history on this gun goes back to the mid-1980s. Back then, most law enforcement agencies were still using wheel guns. We hadn't yet, in our department, switched over to the Glock. We did that in the late 80s. So, in the summertime, I was carrying a 6-inch 66 when I was riding the motorcycle, and when I had to spend time in a patrol car in the wintertime, I was carrying a 4-inch 66. And they had come out with the L-frame guns, the 586 and 686, in the early 80s, and I wanted one. Wasn't quite in a position to buy one at that point, but just happened to win a gun at a match in the mid-80s. I couldn't pick the gun up at the match. I had to go to the FFL to pick it up in person, and when I went there, the gun that I won really wasn't something that I wanted, but the store was nice enough to credit me for whatever the prize gun would have been worth, credit that toward something else. I asked if they had any 586s, and lo and behold, they had several. They were kind enough to let me try out every one of them until I found the one that worked the best, and that is this one right here. So this 586 became my duty gun for a few years until we switched to Glocks, and it also became my competition gun. That's the main reason I wanted that L-frame, was because I was competing in the NRA police shooting matches at the time, and the state championship here in Michigan, and also the national police shooting championships had a service revolver match, and I wanted to do just a little bit better. So I was using Python in the distinguished match, which was part of the service aggregate, but I wanted a little better gun for the service match, so that's where the L-frame came in. It actually did very well for me. That gun works marvelously well. You'll see in the videos here where this 586 is shooting plates quite well. It reloads fairly easily, and also you'll see that that it's hitting 6-inch plates at 50 yards. So I like the gun. So fast forward to 2020, and we're in a time of ammunition shortage and ammunition price gouging when you can find it. My daughter and grandkids live out of state, and they shoot regularly, but they're having a hard time finding ammunition. So I guess they found it was cheaper to buy 3 airplane tickets to Michigan and spend a long weekend here and shoot up my ammunition than it was to try to buy it back home. And considering today's prices, they may be right on that. So my daughter, my grandson, my granddaughter spent a long weekend here and shot a lot of ammunition. Now, of course, they can go through the safe and pull out any gun they want, take it out to the range, and have at it. And my grandson decided he wanted to try out wheel guns. He tried out several different guns. A couple of them we'd already done videos on. Throughout the course of this video, I'll put links to those that he shot that we've also done videos on. And he determined he really, really liked my Python. Well, I can't blame him for that. I like my Python too. That particular gun has a different history, but it doesn't have sentimental value. And at some point I'm going to have to do a video on that, because there is a story on that particular Python. Ultimately, he decided that next to the Python, he liked this 586. And by the way, this gun is empty. It has been safety inspected. There's no ammunition in the room, so the YouTube analytics don't need to get too uptight about the fact that there's a gun in a house. That gun has a wonderful trigger. We'll get into that a little bit more when we go into the cave and talk about it, but my grandson really liked the gun. He was, after just a little bit of working with the gun, he was regularly shooting the plate rack at 12 yards. He was hitting everything at 25 yards, and he was also reaching out to 50 yards and hitting pretty much everything he aimed at 50 yards, including the 10-inch plates. And as you can see in the videos, the gun does very well at 12, 25, and 50 yards. It's not designed as a 50-yard gun. Most of the service stuff for the 4-inch was done at least when I was shooting it, it was done at 25 yards. So the gun works very, very well. And my daughter's going to inherit whatever's left in my gun collection anyway. If you go back to the SIG P230 versus 238 video, we'll put a link up here to that one. You'll see that I do have a history of passing on guns that mean something to me. I carried that 230 off duty for quite a while, and when my daughter graduated from college and was commissioned in the Air Force, that was her graduation / commissioning present. Well, one of them. Maybe there's a story connected with that too. So it's good that guns with some of my history goes on to those. And in this case, my firstborn grandson gets the 586. So after he determined he really liked revolvers, my daughter suggested maybe she'd get him one for Christmas. And she and I discussed prices and decided that, well, you're going to inherit this one anyway. Why not gift him this gun? So I'm going to have to make the transfer to my daughter's name as an out-of-state, and we'll figure out how to do that at some point. And my firstborn grandson will own this 586 with history behind it. So that's the story, and why don't we move on into the cave and let's take a closer look at the gun. Well, thanks for joining me in Riders Range Cave. The 586, complete with original grip, still in very good shape, didn't use them a lot, and the original box. So again, there is history behind this particular gun. Obviously the grips have been changed. The Hogue monogrips have been on there since the beginning, lost the medallion. These things have a lot of wear from riding around in the elements on a motorcycle for a couple of years, and certainly in a patrol car for a while. It's dirty because I haven't cleaned it since my grandson shot it, and since I shot it for this video. Grips are still in good shape, still has all the paperwork, so it is to me a rather valuable gun. I will also mention that the front sight on this has changed. It originally came, as most Smith & Wesson revolvers do, with a red ramp front sight. I had the straight blade put on it just because it works better for accuracy, and accuracy is one thing that this particular gun does very, very well. As you may notice, the National Police Shooting Championships first place revolver back in 1987. This gun won it for me. It really nice gun. So during all the competition, and certainly during police qualifications, I always shot double action on this. Let's see what the double action comes out to on this gun. I know that it's been well worn in, had probably many thousands of rounds put through it at this point. And there's the first pull at 6 pounds, 14.4 ounces. And I normally do 5, but this is a 6-shot revolver. Each cylinder can be just a little bit different depending on how the hand works the ratchet. And we're at 7 pounds, 0.8 ounces for an average of 7 pounds on the button, double action. Very, very nice trigger pull on this. Almost no over travel, just a hair, but not much. Let's see, while we're getting set up for single action, blacked out rear sight. I did mention the black front sight, and again, there is holster wear on this from being carried a lot. So let's see what the single action works on this. Now in single action, it won't make any difference. I won't have to pull 6 times on this because it's only the trigger that it's working on. 2 pounds, 4.7 ounces, an average of 2.5 ounces for the single action on this. But again, I don't shoot at single action. It's your typical Smith 586. It is an M stamp, no dash, full underlug. This gun weighs in empty at just over, with the Hogue monogrips on it, at just over 41 ounces. It was a fair amount to carry back then, but hey, I was younger and didn't worry about the weight on the belt. We didn't carry anywhere near as much equipment as folks are carrying nowadays. This gun is wonderfully accurate, obviously accurate enough to be able to shoot. Back then the Service Revolver Championship, I believe, was 420 points, and I regularly shot 420 out of it. And my grandson was regularly hitting the 10-inch plates even at 50 yards with this. It's got a good enough double action where it runs the 6-pack of plates quite well, and just a nice overall gun. They don't make them like this anymore. This has there's no lock on it, of course. It has the firing pin pivoting in the hammer. Now Smith & Wessons have firing pin built into the frame. It does have a safety transfer bar in it, so that if the hammer goes forward and the trigger goes forward at the same time, the hammer nose or the firing pin can't strike a cartridge on it. So it does have the built-in safety on it. And I don't know what else to say about this gun other than, smooth trigger, not serrated. Just they don't make them like this anymore. This is a good, solid, accurate, long-lasting gun. This gun will outlast anything that my grandson wants to put through it, I'm sure. So it's a brief view at a 586 on a rider's range that has some history. And if you like this video, we certainly appreciate a thumbs up. We appreciate comments on this video down below, comments on anything else. Send them to our website at info@ridersrange.com. Check out www.ridersrange.com. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe and click on the notifications bell so that you get notified of what's coming up in the future on Riders Range. So 586 with some history and a story to start with, and we appreciate you tuning in to Riders Range.
Not going to run the whole star, but let's see if I can get one of those off. All right, it'll lose 6 inches at 50 yards. Dare I try another one? They're moving now, so it'll be more interesting. I'm not going to push my luck with the others. Go back to the white 10. And let's end it up with the white 16 with the black center. Should be it.